back to another episode of the Tech Savvy series. This is a space where we explore how technology transforms the places we live, work, and connect. Focusing on cutting-edge technology in luxury homes, we are here to share what's possible when design and technology work together. I'm your co-host. My name is Atlas. This is my CEO and founder, Trevor. And today, as you can see, we're excited for this one. This is a monitor audio, Kevro-based conversation, speakers in all of the work that we do. We're excited to bring on Jeff. Jeff, thanks for being here.
Glad to be here.
Give the audience a bit of context. Who are you? Where are you from? What brought you here today?
Yeah.
Traveled from Toronto?
Yeah, big night in Toronto, but...
It was. Hopefully a bigger night tonight.
Yeah.
For those later watching this.
Well, Kevro is a privately owned, family-based distribution company. My father was in the semiconductor business back in the 70s and early 80s. And my mother was in banking and working with another distributor, actually, in the early 80s. They both saw the opportunity to start their own distribution business. We found Monitor Audio, we found Rotel and some other brands, and the rest is history there for that. Started in 84 and been going strong ever since.
84, you said?
Yeah, 1984.
Wow,
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that. I've already learned. That's what we're here for. Okay, great. And so Kevro supplies a bunch of products, not just the two you named, correct?
Right now it's just Monitor Audio and Rotel.
Okay.
Over the years we've done different brands. It's kind of a blessing because Monitor Audio is a very big brand and Rotel is a very strong brand, and what they do is still sort of large as well. So there's a lot of work to do with that. So we're the distributor for Canada and the United States for Monitor Audio, and just Canada for Rotel. So there's a lot of work there. It's kind of a good thing that we don't have 10 different brands, because we can focus in on Monitor Audio in the States and we can focus in on Monitor Audio and Rotel in Canada and help out our dealers.
Love that. So your role with them?
I'm the VP of sales. And when I started, I was doing marketing and there was an opportunity for me to get into sales, inside sales. And then there was another opportunity around 2010 to get into sales full time as a rep. And I did that for about 12, 15 years. And then the opportunity came in to be VP of sales for Canada just recently.
Incredible. Well, congratulations. I don't know how recent that was, but well, I appreciate you being here. So family business. So this has kind of been in your wheelhouse for a long time now.
Yeah.
Does that mean that this audio section of life, this high-end premium luxury brands of audio, has always been a passion of yours? Did it fall into your lap? Were you molded into that? How did that work?
I think it was more molded. You know, as a kid, you've got different interests in sports and this and that and whatever. Seeing my parents and their involvement in the brands and in the business, and bringing home different products over the years, and seeing the evolution of products and getting better and better, that really caught my interest.
We know that you've been in the industry for a while. Your family has been in the industry for a while as well. You've gotten to see a lot of things. And I just want to know, what's changed? What's changed in the industry over time that stands out to you? Was it a good change or bad change? And is there anything in the industry as we know it now that you think should be changed?
Good question, Trevor. Back in the early 90s, we went from basically 2-channel to home theater. That was a big change, and seeing center channels and subwoofers and 5.1s grew into 7.4.4, what we have now, and different things, right? So that's been a big evolution. That's been exciting, and bringing a real surreal environment to what you listen to and watching movies, really making it hit home, I think has been a big deal. I think when HDMI first got introduced there in the early 2000s, I think it was, I remember that was a big change, because I remember going to dealers in the Toronto area and I'd be selling optical cable, analog cable, coax, component cable, by the spools, right? And then suddenly HDMI comes around, and then, sales just suddenly really fell down to just HDMI cables. That was a big change in the market, I think. I guess it was a good change. In some respects, maybe not, being a distributor, because you're not selling as many cables as you used to. For a homeowner, that's a big change and a good change. So that was really cool. I think when streaming came about, they're also in the early 2000s, I think. When you think back, you think of Napster, and suddenly that really put music on the scene, the Napster thing, and guys like Metallica hating everything to do about streaming, right? You remember that? When streaming came around, I think that was really revolutionary for our industry, because now we do see a bit of a jump in sales in vinyl, and there's still a good business there for turntables and that. And there still is core business for CD players, but it's far and few compared to what it used to be, right? In the 80s and 90s, CD players were a huge thing, right? Now it's all about streaming. So I think streaming and where that can lead to, that's a good question. Where streaming is going to lead to that's the next question. Where's that going to lead to?
Yeah, I don't think anybody really thought it was gonna go away after it started to come in, really, because it was a really big deal. And yes, Lars and those guys were picketing and suing people and from Napster. So why it was
shows our age when we know that it talks about our age.
Yeah, Monitor Audio and Rotel. Why those two specific brands? Like, what is it about those two brands that drew your family's attention and that kind of kept you in the business that way?
I think in the very beginning, when my parents were looking for brands to distribute, they saw Monitor Audio, privately owned British brand, and the owner and founder at the time, Mo Iqbal, he was using, really beautiful real wood veneer cabinets, matchbook cabinets, so the left and right channels had the same cut of veneer of wood on it so they would match, and using really state-of-the-art technology at the time, using metal alloy drivers for cones and bass drivers and tweeters and that. The quality of music that it produced was, at the top. And when you hear live music or well-recorded movies and stuff like that on a good pair of speakers through a system, and it's toe tapping, it's very involving, it draws your interest into the scene that you're watching on the movie, or it makes you feel like you're at that concert venue, or brings back memories of you being at that concert, let's say. That's what, good audio equipment's supposed to do. And I think when they got stirred by hearing Monitor Audio products back in the early 80s, I think that inspired them to distribute that brand. And I think when you talk about Rotel, another privately owned brand from Japan with a very storied history, they're over 60 years old, the phrase affordable excellence, that's a phrase that Sheldon, my older brother, came up with a long time ago. Affordable excellence, I think, is a great phrase that represents what Rotel is. You're getting excellent sound quality, excellent product, handmade, thoughtful design at an affordable price. And that is another brand that my parents saw and thought this is an opportunity to really bring to Canada and let people enjoy music, at a higher level.
Nice.
So I think that, in a nutshell, hopefully describes what the two brands are to me.
We've been using this stuff. It's really good. I have some personal favorites. IVS, the invisible speaker. I actually have it in my home. The one speaker or pair of speakers that maybe you could talk a little bit about that I've vowed to sell one day very soon is the Hyphen. So can you tell us a little bit about the Hyphen speaker?
Sure. Well, it really is state-of-the-art, and it's one of those products that's a statement piece. And you look at it, and it's like, what is that? What is that? And the name Hyphen represents a horizontal bridge between two columns. And when the designers were designing this state-of-the-art design, cost no object design, and they came with those two columns and then the bridge that holds it together, the term is a hyphen. So they named it that. Behind it, you'll find two pairs of 8-inch bass drivers in a force-canceling design, which means they are active at the same time. And so they're hitting each other sonically, I guess. You want to call it that. And when it does that, that force-canceling design in the right cabinet eliminates any type of vibration or resonance inside that cabinet. The cabinet's made of stone acrylic. It's incredibly heavy and inert and solid. It's made in England. It's a very cool process how they do it. The speakers are 235 pounds each. It's quite something to move into place. The bridge of it, you have a state-of-the-art air motion transformer, which is a different type of tweeter. And then they have 6 2-inch mid-range drivers in a diamond shape closely around that transducer. And what you get, in effect, is a point source design. So the sound is coming, it sounds like the sound is coming from one point source. And with those force-canceling design bass drivers, the really unique thing about that is it doesn't sound like it's coming from one point in some cases. It sounds like it's coming from all around you. And I found that the Hyphen speaker is very easy for placement in a room. Some speakers are very finicky in where you put them and how you hook them up and that sort of thing. I found that the Hyphens are not like that. They're very easy for placement. Of course, you can fine-tune it to get the best placement for the room in which you're listening preferences are, but the placement in the room I find is pretty simple to do. So that's a real key point with them. And when you look at the price, we've gone to different shows, had them there for demos, and whether it's in Los Angeles or Chicago or Florida or other places around the world or in Toronto or Vancouver, we're always getting people saying that, wow, this product sounds just as good or better than that other system down the aisle that's twice the price at $300,000 or $400,000. And so that goes to say that, look, Monitor Audio is making really affordable hi-fi. What would you rather? Would you rather spend 130 grand on a Porsche or speakers? And some people would rather the speakers, so that's great news for us, right?
Yeah. So you have the extra 130 grand, just come on down to Vanguard. We'll get you sorted out.
Shameless plug. And maybe we'll insert a photo in here somewhere to show you what they look like, because they're one of the most unique looking speaker sets I've ever seen. How tall are they?
They are about 5 feet, 5.5 feet.
Yeah.
Not too tall, not too imposing. I think the pictures make it look bigger than they are in real life.
Good to know.
But they're not that imposing for size. Yeah.
Well, they're beautiful. They look like something out of an alien movie,
Yeah.
which kind of
quite
adds
unique.
to the flair.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of products, your premium lineup for Monitor Audio is here. Monitor Audio is the go-to for us in almost all scenarios. And so for you being our connection to that and our opportunity to learn about what is currently the best, what's coming down the pipeline that's the best, what's going to be the best for the specific client and their needs, you have a lot of experience in understanding which product to look for and why. So of all of the Monitor Audio products so far, minus the hyphen, don't forget about it, what product would you say right now is the most popular and why? And then is there a contrast between the one that's currently selling the most and why?
Well, for two-channel, for traditional box speakers, our 7th generation Bronze series is the hottest that's out there right now. $1,000 for a pair of high-performance bookshelf speakers, or $2,000 for a pair of towers. Monitor Audio likes to call it entry into high fidelity, and that is our entry-level product per se. But you really are getting a touch of what high fidelity performance is with it. A beautifully handcrafted box and drivers that are a step above with metal alloys. So it's an evolvement of the CCAM driver, which is Monitor Audio's proprietary technology, ceramic coated aluminum magnesium. That all started back in the early 80s, and it's just evolved since then. The phrase pioneers in metal dome technology is a phrase that we like to use because we've been doing it since literally 1978 or 79. I'd have to double check that date, but literally the end of the 70s, the early 80s is when they came out with the metal dome driver, and it's just gone on since then. So where some companies are just getting into it in the last 10, 20 years, Monitor Audio has been doing it for about 30 years now. So they know what works, they know what doesn't work, and they've been able to evolve and build better metal alloy drivers as the years have gone by. And with the Creator Series, we have a product here that's evolved as well. We had the Core Series before this. With the Creator Series, Monitor Audio wanted to really jump ahead of what they had done. So they spent a very long time, many years working on it, and looking at what works, what doesn't, what we can do to improve the line. Is the line too big? Is it too small? What are we going to do? So a lot of things were done, and in a nutshell, they made the lineup smaller, so it's an easier selection for the dealer and for the customer to work with. But they've also made improvements in the sound quality. A lot of people, they want to watch a movie, they want to listen to music, they get involved, they get excited, they want to turn the volume up, right? That's what we want people to do. And sometimes in lesser performing product, you turn it up, it starts to get aggressive and fatiguing on the ears, and they got to turn it down a little bit. With Monitor Audio, with our CCAM drivers and the way they've made the speakers themselves, you can turn it up and it's not going to get fatiguing over time. The sound will get amplified, but it's going to be warm bass, clarity in the mid-band, good, clean, high treble without getting fatiguing to the ears. So it's going to be toe tapping and get you involved in what you're listening. And I think with Monitor Audio, they've really stepped up to that. So now with the Creator Series, we've got Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. And each of those is using a derivative of CCAM drivers. And with Tier 3, we have a dimple driver We have the IDC, which is the inverted dual concentric cone. This was a product of the year design back in 2007 when it first came out with the Core series, and of course this evolved. It just gets better and better.
Ultimately, what we're hoping for the viewer to catch here is obviously the length of care, attention, and attention to detail goes into creating a product for the home or for the environment they're looking for. But then ultimately, what makes it popular? Like, why even bother going down the road of tier 1 versus tier 3, or fill in the blank Raider series versus the other lines? So as you've experienced so far, this now condensed lineup, does it currently have a go-to?
Yeah, the C3M is definitely a go-to. This guy at 1150. This is definitely a big seller of ours. It's a 7-inch base driver with a 1-inch tweeter and a 4-inch mid-range driver, but it's using the same cutout of our old 6.5-inch in-ceiling. So you're getting a bigger speaker, but in the same cutout as our previous design. And when you look at the C3L, the large, it used to be an 8-inch design base driver. Now it's a 9-inch. And with that, the same idea applies. It's the same cutout as the old speakers that we used to have, but a larger speaker. So you're really getting more for the money and more sound.
And it's very helpful, especially for the design process, because placement and size and the overall look in a room is crucial. It's something we consider with every client. And so to know that actually helps a lot, and I hope for the viewer helps a lot, that you can get higher quality without it being this huge on-wall box of sorts. You can still get extremely high quality.
And if you want something smaller, we have a 5-inch version as well. So we've got a 5-inch, 7-inch, and a 9-inch. So lots of different options for people to choose from.
Take a step away from monitor and back to Rotel.
Okay.
So Rotel is known, I guess, for higher end audio. We have our consumer grade stuff that people are more familiar with, Denons and Sonys and all of those brands, Onkyos and stuff like that. And then we come to Rotel, which may not be as known to the consumer base. And this is going to be more like a sales pitchy kind of question. If I was a customer walking into your store and I wanted some specific high-end audio equipment, I may have heard about Rotel, but I don't know much about it. How would you go about pitching that to me and to explain why I should use that over one of the more consumer-facing brands?
Well, we've got a lot of options. Our entry-level integrated, which is $670 retail, $670 retail, or we could go all the way up to $10,000 for an integrated app, and you're getting the very best technology and the very best sound. There's a lot of options there, but what it comes down to is affordable excellence and what a customer really wants. Do they just want a small system for their room? Do they want a step up on one of those major brands? Rotel is a privately owned Japanese company. They still hand make all their products. There's some really cool videos out there on the website. You can see them designing and making the transformers and toroidal transformers by hand. You're going to be getting product that is very authoritative in the bass, very musical, very involving, can work with a lot of different brands as well. So you could have a Rotel amplifier and it could work with different preamps and speakers and so on and so forth and bring a lot of excitement to the home.
Very prestigious name too. So that's always very cool about it. Yeah, and they look very cool.
And the history behind it, in the beginning they used to make toroidal transformers for other brands, some big brands too. If the viewers want to go and do some digging, they'll find out what type of brands that they made it for.
So Rotel made them for other brands that we would, that's very cool.
And that was before they were called Rotel. They had a different brand back when they first started, toroidal transformers and other electronic parts for other big brands, and then decided to go their own route and make their own product under the Rotel name.
So a lot of people may have been using Rotel products without even knowing it.
Without even knowing, even to this day.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, talking to you, we know we brought you in because you're an expert in the industry. So Rotel, monitor audio, right, premium brands, affordable luxury. We love that. Obviously, our focus here at Vanguard is to provide the best possible product for the best possible price. Right? We're building homes here. We're inputting this product into homes. We want to be able to offer the best, but without scaring off people. So the Rotel affordable luxury sounds incredible. Obviously, we work with monitor audio very closely, so we value that a lot. But being an expert in the industry, you've seen a lot of products come and go, and I imagine you've had a perspective on, the Creator series before it was released. what it could or couldn't do based on how your experience in the industry has grown so far. Same thing with Rotel and how they continue to evolve, and then also outside of those brands. So the question that I would have for you is, what is something along the way in your experience in the industry that is something you were really excited about? You said that's going to really do something, and then fell flat and didn't really do what you thought it was going to do. It didn't hit home the same way that you thought. And then reverse the question, something you weren't really excited about that ended up being like everything that did change the industry.
I think when Blu-ray first came out and Toshiba had their HD DVD, I got sold on the HD DVD, and that didn't go anywhere, obviously. So that was a waste of $500 or $600, whatever. But who knows?
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
start. Good start.
Yeah.
So you were excited about that one. Didn't end up working
Yeah.
out. You invested
Yeah.
a little bit too, actually. By
Yeah.
the sounds. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of money spent there. Yeah.
Okay. And then now on the flip side, something you didn't expect showed up and kind of knocked you in the face a little bit with like, whoa, that's the popular thing right now. That's the thing that's blowing up.
I think streaming still really impresses me how wide and how far of a grasp it has on our industry, and where that could lead to wireless technology and streaming and music and other forms of entertainment. I think that's a bit of a general answer.
Mm-hmm.
I think that still is pretty amazing to me where that is right now and what it could do. So wireless charging, if there could ever be such a thing as, instead of having to take your phone and put it on that pad to charge or plug it in, if there was ever a way to charge something without a wire, stream your charging, or some sort of wireless connectivity to charge, just like we have a phone and we're getting a signal wirelessly to our phone. If there's ever going to be a technology that can charge your phone or charge a product that we have in our homes or in our businesses without having it paired up physically with a cable, I think that would be revolutionary if they could ever do that.
Like wireless power.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Can't say I've ever thought about
Yeah.
that before. Interesting. It reminds me of those countertops that you don't see the oven, but then when you put the specific pan on it, it starts to cook.
Yeah.
But you remove the pan and it's not hot. That
Is
blew
that-
my mind.
Is that induction?
It's something like that. Yeah. So not
Yeah,
similar. Yeah, but like those kinds of things, this
Yeah.
idea is relatable to me in the sense of it blows out of the water the possibility of being able to operate your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. It does lead us into the next question, which is really down the same line. Are there any products for you, either in the brands you're working with or maybe outside of it, that are coming down the pipeline you've heard about and you're really excited about?
I am excited about 3 or 4 new series of product that are coming from Monitor Audio, but unfortunately there's an NDA and I can't say anything. I can say that it's really exciting. We're going to see some new stuff in 2026. It'll be a lot of fun. So there's going to be some cool stuff coming from Monitor Audio. Stuff in the lifestyle, genre, and traditional and custom. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be fun to get out on the road and talk about it with people and with you guys.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
That's very cool. You were building your dream home. You get to choose like whatever products you want in that home to make it special. Which items are you going to choose? And we can use Monitor and Rotel as well. If you could choose one thing from each lineup, like what would you choose to put in there and why?
Okay, for my dream home on 100 acres of land with a tributary river going through it and rolling hills. A shooting range in the back. Yeah. Okay.
Good start.
Stay on track, Jeff. I would say in the hallways and in a few rooms, I would put the CF230 small aperture in ceiling, which is really hot. Small speaker from Monitor Audio, sounds great. Pair that up with the ICS8 in-ceiling subwoofer for bass. For the multimedia rooms and the great room in that, I will definitely be putting these guys, the C3Ms and the C3Ls. So I get maximum output and maximum enjoyment for music and movies. I'd also be putting in some of the IV140s that you like, Trevor.
I love those.
In certain areas like the kitchen and in the dining room, definitely, and upstairs as well. For the dedicated theater, I'm going to go all out and do Synergy, the Synergy series for theater. That's Monster Audio's very best home theater product. Is almost commercial grade, what you're getting, but for residential use.
Yeah.
So high output, high SPLs, the very best technologies, the very best driver technology and construction of cabinets. You build the room around Synergy is what you do. It's not you have a room and you put speakers in it. You build a room around Synergy. That to me is the idea, and that's 110% enjoyment for theater use. So I would definitely be putting that in.
Yeah, very cool. Good thing it's your dream home. Otherwise, you'd have to choose between the audio stuff and then the rivers and the hills and all that other stuff there too.
My significant other would probably just like the rivers and strong coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
I can go with that, but I gotta get some Monster Audio and some Rotel in the mix, some Mishi 2-channel high-end gear in there.
Best answer. Yeah, well done, well done. I can see it all coming together. Yeah, your acreage, your estate. Yeah, okay. Yeah, great. Is there anything about Kevro, Rotel, Monitor Audio that you would still like to share with the audience that's listening today?
We're here to bring enjoyment to people's homes. That's what these brands are about. Affordable excellence is a phrase we like to use with Rotel. I think it's the same with Monitor Audio. Like, you can spend 10 times the amount of money on products and not get as much enjoyment, or it can be fatiguing on the ears, or it can be not so good to look at in some cases. With Monitor Audio, whether it be traditional box speakers or invisible speakers and lifestyle applications, I think you're getting great products at great prices that will have a lifetime of enjoyment for the end user.
Appreciate that. And that last piece of lifetime enjoyment is so crucial for us, because everyone talks about technology and its upgrading necessities, and it dies over time. And of course, you're going to want maybe the newest phone, right, or the newest model of something you own. Same thing that happens for these kinds of speakers and systems. But we're always looking to take advantage of the corporations that are looking for that kind of approach to sustain the longevity and the long-term relationship that essentially Modern Audio would have with the client, right, through us, and being able to say, no, Modern Audio is my go-to. There's not another question. So as it goes down the years, we're very happy to have you in our corner, educating us and keeping us informed on what's coming, even though there's an NDA. Allow us to use your expertise to better supply and provide our clients with what they're looking for and what matches their lifestyle. So thank you for providing them with more clarity on that. Thank you for providing us with more clarity around that. Where can people find you? Just Kevro.com?
Kevro.ca is our Canadian website.
My bad.
Kevro.com is our US. But Kevro.ca, you can go there and you can find us, and we have a dealer web locator there. You can also, if you're in different areas of Canada, you can find the dealer that best suits your needs.
Great.
But of course, we want you to contact Vanguard.
I was going to say.
Don't forget, he's the guy. 403.
That's right.
454-8324.
403. Talk to Trevor and Atlas.
There it is.
That's right.
Well, thank you again. We appreciate it. Very grateful to have you in our corner, and hopefully we'll see you again here soon.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.